That's fine. I'll give a brief summary of the whole thing again, so that somebody who doesn't know anything about what was done can come in on this note and see some of the details of what happened and what was done. Okay. You'll hear from Carnegie Mellon University's Drama Club that the whole thing was a put on an episode of Friends. Let me tell you who these friends impinging on the persona's experience, as they put it, really were. They were hired call girls from the underworld around Pittsburgh, working for Neva Pornographic Cinema um, attorneys. So they were given direct lines and cues and told to say things and profess things under the stage management of Oliver Stone. Ming Na Wen was one of these people. And they had a switchboard hooked up to a professional computer mistranslator named Jaime Carbonell. And this was the Clinton administration. Now, I was stationed at Falk Medical Library as medical library clerk in 1984 when my father showed up and died. I was exhausted from the strange things that had been done to me, like torture as a child. And I got called away. I was very suspicious of the things that were happening to Mount Desert Island. A character named Zell, who was in Robert Fripp's Gurdjieff Confederacy. And they introduced me on Mount Desert Island to a girl who had a tattoo of the Grim Reaper on her inner thigh, pointing at her vagina. She worked at a place called Maxwell House, and she had tattoos on. I mean, she had needle tracks. She was from New Hampshire. So, this was a high risk entrapment. It was a Venus flytrap. And I played into it. I slept with the girl, and they gave me scabies and said, "We poured this on you steaming. I hope it's enough." They burned down the Jackson Mutagenetic Laboratories and crashed the tanker in Exxon Valdez for Valentine's Day. And then they had the perfect storm in the Middle East where they lit the oil fields on fire. And it was all part of Bush's macabre put on about the coming of the saviors. Climate change is hell on earth if you don't reform your evil ways, baby. They were quoting Carlos Santana and so on. Well, this is one of the things that happened. When I got back to Pittsburgh, I discovered that they were making peep shows at school with this girl who came on to me to get married to me, which they laughed at the idea that they would let me get married. And they had planted these letters that they claimed were evidence in John Lennon's murder. The more I looked at them, the more I saw that they were encrypted with a story from cinema. So I went into the cinema of Reagan and discovered that he had set up Kennedy and left chalk marks to follow the script of how they assassinated Kennedy and then evacuated John Lennon as a spiritual symbol of Adolf Hitler, who was Casper the Friendly Ghost. Get it? That was the name of the person who tortured me as a child. Meanwhile, the Democrats were putting a military in place that was a Gestapo to torture, shoot, maim, rape, and terrorize anybody who named Reagan as the perpetrator. Tim Kaine, Al Gore, Jimmy Carter, Joe Biden, the whole mess of them. And of course, they've threatened Omar for far less. They've threatened to kill AOC for far less. So they earmarked me and used a nerve agent on my facial nerve. Facial is a sex category in pornography. And this was the hell facial to show that you are damned if you do this. This is the mission of these creepy boogie monsters from the Axis New Testament synthesis. but they started AIDS. And it's well known that Sound Mental Health, supposedly run by queers for queers, poisoned me in the mouth right before UW Dialectical released COVID-19. Well, so you can just throw away their claim not to be helping the people who started AIDS. They not only helped them, but they piled on with a bonus attack. And you have these playing fields. The idea of them having humanity or helping the public is absurd. They never warned anybody, but they have tokens. Well, we will enrich this token. He represents our black victim. And this is James Watts' mentality. He used to say, I have a Hebrew and a cripple in my office. That's the way he would talk about the situation. Well, this is the same thing that UW Dialectical does with the Black Panthers and stuff. They have Cornel West spinner beanies that they wear, and they play token farce. The bottom line is the objective of the fourth estate has been completely ruptured in America. You're supposed to give public information so people can digest what's going on in the world and behave accordingly. Instead, these people fan the flames to make it worse. And then they say, "Oh, we're the legitimate Seattle administration." You can't get more depressed than these sickos. Poison me in the mouth to announce COVID as proof that they didn't know about AIDS. That doesn't really in their um, majestic wardrobe of magical mystery that somehow congrues. They can somehow make that connect because of John Lennon's penny, which they Ripper, Shannon harps over. Sounds good to UW Dialectical.